Over here I have a cistern and it's actually overflowing. This is the overflow and the water is just flowing into this hole here, meaning it's flowing back into the toilet pan. The correct level is somewhere over here, which means that the cistern is filling up beyond the maximum level. I'm also seeing a leak forming here because the water is so high, and this is an old toilet, water is actually coming through where one presses the flusher. Now in this case the problem is sitting inside here. There's a rubber diaphragm that has worn out, and what is happening is, even though the float is high enough and it has pushed this pin in, still not stopping the water. So it's acting as though the float is too high. So the telltale sign is that the float is actually quite deep in the water, but this is still filling up. And there I'm showing the water is actually above the majority of this float. All right, so the first step is to just turn off the water tap. Now I can unscrew this, but this is all one unit. So if it's easier for you, you can remove the float by removing this little push pin here. I've removed that push pin and then I'm just removing the float. Now on some people's toilets, this pin might be metallic and very rusted. So I'm actually going to do the remainder of this repair with the float connected, just to cater for those viewers who are unable to remove that float. Just make sure that when you do return the float, that the flat spot leans on that pin. All right, so now I'm going to unscrew this. You'll need two hands. It can be quite tight. The water is off, and I'm just going to support this, and as it unscrews, this whole unit will come out. There it's coming out. Right, so on the inside we've got a washer that looks like this, a ring washer, which needs to be changed, and then I remove this plastic inset, and then there is a diaphragm that looks like this. So I just need to remove this. Now my advice is don't touch this washer because it will stain your skin. It's very old, so I'm just removing it, and there we can see how the old washer is completely deformed, and there's the new washer ready to go. Now I need to remove this plastic piece as well. There is this cone and then there's this piece. So all three of these need to be removed. Deep inside there's a diaphragm which is completely disintegrated. This is what I've removed, and this is what it's supposed to look like. You can see it's completely worn out. Now just be aware that this is directional. Notice it's got this crevice running through. That must face outwards. That means that the bump is at the back. So we've got this bump here at the back, we've got this pad where that pusher mates onto and pushes on this pad. This pad then pushes on this little cone which blocks the water from coming out. So all I need to do is press this in, all the way in there. I now need to return this piece. Now this is also directional. There is a bit of a spine there and there's a recess there, so it goes in like that, and then it's got this cone. You may have got a replacement in your little washer set, but the cone goes in from this side and it seats in easily, and now that last rubber washer just goes on top of that cone, and now it's ready to be put back on the other side. Now I align this into this part here, and I make sure that I do not cross thread this nut. So that means that I'm checking while I'm turning this nut, I'm making sure that it is easy. It shouldn't be difficult. If it's difficult, it means that I'm cross threading. So it's easy to turn this, and now I can just tighten this. Don't use special tools, just use your hand. If you're not strong enough, just get someone else to just tighten this a little bit. It's plastic, so it should just be hand tight, right? So it's tight enough, and now all I need to do is switch on the water. Now you might have this problem. Notice how the cistern is not filling up high enough. And the reason for that is, over the years, people have obviously been bending this because it kept going higher and higher. And that was because the washer was wearing out. So what I need to do now is I actually need to bend this to allow the cistern to go a little bit higher. So there I can see the water coming in again. And I'm just going to watch this until the float stops the water at the correct level. So I want it to be about there, so I'm just going to wait until the water gets to that level. Right, so I'm just going to bend this again. Right, so I've just bent it again, and I can see the water here coming through. Right, so I did bend this a little bit upwards. Notice it's now at the line that I'm happy with, and then there is no more water coming through there. The pin is now pressing on the brand new washer, and it has closed the water. All right, so leave it for half an hour. Just make sure that the water does not continue to go over, and this is now repaired. Thanks for watching, and cheers.